Ancient Egypt, during pyramid construction. The sun rises over the Nile Valley, casting its first light across fields of barley and wheat. You wake before dawn in a small mud brick house with a dirt floor and no windows. Your family sleeps on woven reed mats. There is no furniture. A single oil lamp provides light after dark. The walls are bare except for a few hooks holding tools and a water jar. This is home for a farmer during Egypt's Old Kingdom around 2,500 years before the Common Era. Your life revolves entirely around the agricultural calendar and the demands placed upon you by the pharaoh's administration. Egypt's prosperity depends on the Nile's annual flood, which deposits rich silt across the floodplain. When the waters recede, you plough and plant. During the growing season, you maintain irrigation canals, pulling water from ditches to your fields using a shaduf, a counterweighted pole with a bucket. The work is repetitive and exhausting under the relentless sun. But farming is not your only obligation. For several months each year, when the Nile floods and agricultural work is impossible, you are conscripted for corvée labour on royal construction projects. This is not voluntary. Officials from the pharaoh's administration arrive at your village with quotas. So many men from each district must report to the quarries or building sites. Failure to comply brings punishment. Your family could lose land or face beatings. You join thousands of other conscripted workers at Giza, where the Great Pyramid is rising stone by stone. The scale is overwhelming. Blocks weighing 2 to 15 tons must be quarried, transported, and positioned with precision. You are not a skilled stonemason or engineer. You are labour. You pull ropes attached to wooden sledges carrying limestone blocks. Teams of 20 or more men strain against the weight. Overseers shout instructions and crack whips to maintain pace. The sand is wetted to reduce friction, but the work remains brutal. The heat is oppressive. Water is provided but rationed. You drink from communal jars, refilled periodically by water carriers. The liquid is warm and tastes of clay. Salt stains mark your linen kilt where sweat has dried repeatedly. Your hands blister, then callous. Your back aches constantly. At night, you collapse onto a straw mat in a crude barracks shared with dozens of other workers. The air smells of unwashed bodies and smoke from cooking fires. Food is basic. Bread and beer form the core of your diet. The bread is coarse, baked from emmer wheat ground on stone querns. Grit from the grinding stones gets into the flour, wearing down your teeth over years of eating. The beer is thick and nutritious, more like liquid bread than modern beer. Occasionally there are onions, garlic, lentils, or a bit of fish. Meat is a rarity, reserved for festivals or distributed as bonuses when work quotas are exceeded. Medical care is primitive. Injuries are common. A crushed foot from a ya'a miaogi, dropped block, a rope burn that becomes infected, a back injury from repetitive strain. Priests who serve as physicians might apply poultices of honey and herbs, but serious injuries often lead to permanent disability or death. There is no compensation for your family if you die on the worksite. They must continue without you, losing your labour and facing the same demands from the state. Your social status is barely above that of the poorest labourers. You own a small plot of land, perhaps 2 or 3 acres, but you do not own it outright. The land belongs to the pharaoh or to a temple. You farm it and pay a portion of your harvest as tax. Scribes visit during harvest time, measuring your yield and calculating what is owed. They are literate and you are not. You cannot dispute their calculations. If the harvest is poor due to inadequate flooding or pest damage, the tax remains the same. You go hungry to meet the obligation. Your children receive no formal education. They work alongside you in the fields from the time they can walk. Boys learn farming and the obligations of corvée labour. Girls help their mothers with domestic tasks, grinding grain, making bread, spinning flax into thread, weaving cloth. There is no time for play. Childhood is brief. By age 12 or 13, children are considered adults, capable of full labour and subject to the same demands. Religion offers the only respite and hope. You believe the pharaoh is a living god, that your labor on his pyramid ensures cosmic order and your own place in the afterlife. Temples hold festivals where beer and bread are distributed more generously. Priests perform rituals meant to guarantee the Nile's flood and the sun's journey across the sky. You participate because it is expected and because it provides a break from endless toil. But deep down, you wonder if the gods truly care about you. The elite live in stone houses with servants and abundant food. You live in mud and hunger. Disease is a constant threat. Parasitic infections from drinking Nile water cause chronic illness. Schistosomiasis, caused by waterborne parasites, weakens you over time, leading to fatigue and organ damage. Malaria spreads through mosquito bites. Dysentery from contaminated food or water can kill within days. Life expectancy is short. Many children die before age 5. Adults who survive to 40 are considered old. Your body is worn out by labour, poor nutrition, and disease long before what would be considered middle age in later eras. Women face additional burdens. Childbirth is dangerous. Many women die in labour or from infections afterward. Midwives attend births, but their knowledge is limited. If complications arise, there is little they can do. Infant mortality is high. A woman might bear 6 or 7 children and see only 2 or 3 survive to adulthood. Grief is a constant companion. There is no time for extended mourning. The fields must be tended, bread must be baked, life goes on. Your existence is defined by obligation and scarcity. Freedom is an illusion. You cannot leave your land without permission. You cannot refuse corvée labour. You cannot challenge the tax assessments. The state's power is absolute, backed by soldiers and bureaucracy. Scribes record everything, maintaining detailed accounts of land ownership, tax obligations, and labour contributions. You are a number in their records, a unit of production to be managed and exploited. Yet you endure. Generations have lived this way before you and will continue after you. The rhythm of the Nile, the cycle of planting and harvest, the demands of the state, these are the constants of your world. You find small joys where you can. A good harvest, a child's laughter, a cup of beer shared with neighbours after a long day. These moments are brief but precious. They sustain you through the grinding poverty and endless labour that define your existence as a peasant in ancient Egypt. Medieval Europe. During the Black Death, the year is 1348. You are a serf in a village in southern France. The manor lord owns the land you farm and owns you as well. You cannot leave without permission. You owe labour obligations several days each week on the lord's domain, his personal farmland. The rest of your time is spent working your own small plot, barely enough to feed your family. Life has always been hard, but this year brings something new. Rumours arrive with travelling merchants. A terrible pestilence is sweeping from the east. Entire cities are dying. The stories seem impossible, exaggerated. But then the sickness arrives in your village. It begins with a family at the edge of the settlement. The father returns from market in the nearest town complaining of fever and headache. Within 2 days, dark swellings appear in his armpits and groin. Buboes, people whisper. The plague. He dies in agony on the 3rd day, his body covered in black marks. His wife and children sicken soon after. The village priest administers last rites, but there is nothing else to be done. The disease spreads with horrifying speed. Your neighbour, a man you have known your entire life, collapses while ploughing his field. By evening he is dead. His wife dies the next day. Their children, left orphaned, are taken in by relatives who themselves fall ill within a week. The plague shows no mercy. Young and old, healthy and infirm, all are equally vulnerable. You try to protect your family, you avoid contact with the sick, you burn herbs, hoping the smoke will purify the air. The priest leads processions through the village, praying for divine intervention. Some villagers flagellate themselves, believing the plague is God's punishment for sin. Nothing works. The pestilence continues its advance. One morning your wife wakes with fever. You feel cold dread settle in your stomach. She tries to continue her work, but by midday she can barely stand. The telltale swellings appear. You know what this means. You hold her hand, helpless, as she deteriorates. She dies 2 days later. The pain is beyond anything you have experienced. You have no time to grieve properly. Your children need you. You must continue. The village is dying. Of 80 families, perhaps 30 remain intact. Bodies lie in houses because there is no one to bury them. The churchyard is full. Pits are dug outside the village where corpses are thrown without ceremony or individual graves. The priest himself falls ill and dies. No one remains to perform the rites. The social order collapses. Fields go unplanted because there are not enough hands to work them. Livestock wander untended. The manor lord has fled to a distant estate, abandoning his responsibilities. His steward tries to maintain order, but he too succumbs to the plague. Without oversight, some serfs see opportunity. They leave, seeking better conditions elsewhere. Labour is suddenly scarce and valuable. But you stay. Where would you go? The plague is everywhere. There is no escape. Food becomes scarce. With so many dead, the previous year's harvest rots in storage. There is no one to distribute it. You take what you need to feed your children. Others do the same. It is not theft, not really. The old rules no longer apply. Survival is all that matters. The psychological toll is immense. You live in constant fear. Every cough, every headache, every moment of fatigue brings terror. Is this the plague beginning? You watch your children obsessively for signs of fever. Sleep is difficult. Nightmares plague you when you do sleep. You dream of corpses, of your wife's suffering, of your own death. The economy disintegrates, trade stops, markets close, craftsmen die, and their skills die with them. The blacksmith who shod your ox is gone. The miller who ground your grain is dead. You must learn to do these things yourself, or do without. Civilization is a thin veneer, and you watch it crack and peel away. Some turn to scapegoating. Rumours spread that Jews poison wells, causing the plague. Pogroms erupt in towns. Hundreds are murdered in fits of hysteria and hatred. The violence brings no relief. The plague continues. It does not discriminate based on who you blame. Years pass. The plague recurs in waves, returning every few years to claim more lives. The population of Europe declines by 1/3 to 1/2. Entire villages are abandoned. Fields return to wilderness. You survive, though you do not know why. Many stronger and younger than you have died. Perhaps it is random chance. Perhaps God has some purpose for you, though you cannot fathom what it might be. The social structure changes. With labour scarce, serfs have leverage they never possessed before. Some negotiate better terms with lords desperate for workers. Others flee to towns where labour is needed and questions about origins are not asked. Serfdom begins to weaken, though it will take generations to fully collapse. But for you, in the immediate aftermath, life is simply about endurance. You rebuild as best you can. You remarry, a widow from a neighbouring village who also lost her spouse. Together you farm your land, raise your surviving children, and try to create some semblance of normality. But the trauma remains. You have seen too much death. Trust in divine order is shaken. The world feels darker, more capricious, less certain. This is life as a peasant during the Black Death. Unrelenting fear, catastrophic loss, social collapse, and the desperate struggle to survive in a world where death can arrive without warning and take everything you love. The plague redefines suffering. It is not merely hardship. It is apocalypse experienced personally, intimately, in your home, in your body, in the bodies of everyone you know. The Mongol invasions of Central Asia. You are a farmer in the Khwarezmian Empire in what is now Uzbekistan in the year 1219. Your village sits along an irrigation canal, drawing water from the Amu Darya River. The land here is fertile when properly watered. You grow wheat, barley, melons. Life is hard but stable. The empire is wealthy from trade along the Silk Road. Caravans pass through regularly, bringing goods and news from distant lands. Then rumours arrive. An army from the east, led by a warlord named Genghis Khan, is approaching. The Mongols, they are called. Horsemen from the steppes. The stories seem fantastical. An army that moves faster than any known force, that destroys entire cities, that shows no mercy. Surely these are exaggerations meant to frighten. The Khwarezmian Shah's armies march east to meet the threat. They are confident. The empire is strong, its soldiers well equipped and numerous. You continue your work, planting crops, maintaining the irrigation channels. War is for soldiers and nobles. It does not concern you directly. Weeks pass, then refugees arrive. They tell of unimaginable horrors. The Mongol army is vast, disciplined, and ruthless. City after city has fallen. Bukhara is burning. Samarkand is under siege. The refugees are starving, traumatized. They speak of pyramids built from human skulls, of populations slaughtered wholesale, of cities so thoroughly destroyed that nothing remains but rubble. You still hope the danger will pass. Your village is small, insignificant. Why would a great army bother with it? But you are wrong. The Mongols come. They appear on the horizon one morning. Thousands of horsemen spread across the plain. They move with eerie coordination, surrounding the village before anyone can flee. Resistance is futile. Your village has no walls, no soldiers, no weapons beyond farming tools. The elder goes out to negotiate, to offer submission and tribute. The Mongols kill him where he stands. What follows is methodical destruction. The Mongols round up the villagers. They separate men from women and children. You are forced to your knees in the village square. Mongol soldiers, expressionless and efficient, go through the houses, taking anything of value. Livestock is driven into pens. Grain stores are emptied. Then the killing begins. The men are executed in groups. Some are beheaded. Others are shot with arrows. There is no trial, no reason given. The Mongols do not speak your language. They do not explain. They simply kill. You watch your neighbours, your friends, men you have known your entire life, die in front of you. The terror is paralysing. You cannot move, cannot think. You wait for your turn. It comes. A Mongol warrior grabs you by the hair, forcing you to the ground. You feel cold steel against your neck. In that moment, time seems to stop. You think of your family, your children, then darkness, but you do not die. The blade cuts, but not deeply. The warrior moves on to the next man. You are bleeding, but alive. Why? You do not know. Perhaps they were interrupted. Perhaps it was an error. You lie still, pretending to be dead, feeling blood soak into the dirt beneath you. Hours pass. Eventually, the sounds of violence fade. You risk opening your eyes. The square is filled with bodies. Blood pools on the ground. The Mongols are setting fire to the buildings. Smoke rises into the sky. You crawl toward the edge of the square, moving slowly, trying not to draw attention. Miraculously, you reach the irrigation canal and slip into the water. The current carries you away from the village. You float downstream, clinging to reeds, until you are out of sight. Then you drag yourself onto the bank and collapse. You are weak from blood loss, in shock, barely conscious. But you are alive. Days later, you return. The village is gone. Every building is burned to its foundation. Bodies lie everywhere, bloated and rotting in the sun. The smell is overwhelming. You search for your family. You find your wife and children among the dead. They were not spared. No one was spared. You bury them as best you can, digging shallow graves with your hands because all the tools are gone. You say prayers, though you're not sure anyone is listening. The world feels empty, devoid of meaning or justice. The Mongols took everything. Your home, your livelihood, your family, your future. You wander, joining other survivors. Refugees stream westward, fleeing the Mongol advance. You walk for weeks, eating whatever you can find. Many die along the way from hunger, disease, or despair. You reach a city that has not yet fallen. It is overcrowded with refugees. There is not enough food, not enough shelter. Disease spreads rapidly in the cramped conditions. The Mongols arrive weeks later. The city attempts to resist. It has walls and soldiers. But Mongol siege engines, batter the defences. The walls are breached, the city falls. The slaughter is total. You hide in a cellar, listening to the screams above. When silence finally comes, you emerge into a city of corpses. The Mongols have moved on, leaving ruin in their wake. This is life, or rather the end of life, for peasants in the path of the Mongol invasions. Entire civilizations are erased. Millions die. The land itself is scarred, irrigation systems destroyed, fields abandoned. Famine follows conquest. Those who survive face a world irrevocably changed. The old order is gone. What replaces it is uncertain. You are a ghost, wandering through the wreckage of your former existence, haunted by memories of what was lost. The population of Central Asia declines catastrophically. Some regions lose 90% of their inhabitants. Cities that once thrived become ghost towns. The cultural and economic achievements of centuries are obliterated in a few years of relentless warfare. The Mongols reshaped the world through violence on a scale rarely seen in human history. For those in their path, it is the end of everything. 30 years war in the Holy Roman Empire. You are a peasant in a village in Saxony. The year is 1630. For 12 years, war has raged across the Holy Roman Empire. What began as a religious conflict between Catholics and Protestants has metastasized into a broader European war involving mercenary armies, foreign powers, and opportunistic warlords. Your village has been relatively fortunate so far. Armies have passed through, demanding food and supplies, but there has been no major violence. That changes. An army arrives, you are not sure whose. Swedish, imperial, it does not matter. They are soldiers, and soldiers bring destruction. They set up camp near the village. The commander demands provisions. The village headman negotiates, agreeing to provide grain, livestock, and ale. The villagers have little choice. Refusal means violence. The soldiers take more than agreed. They ransack houses, stealing valuables, clothes, tools. They butcher livestock without permission, leaving carcasses to rot. They drink the ale stores dry, then demand more. When told there is no more, they beat the headman. Women are not safe. Soldiers assault them openly. Your daughter is dragged into a barn. You try to intervene and are struck unconscious. When you wake, it is over. Your daughter will not speak of what happened. Her eyes are empty. The trauma is visible but unspoken. The army stays for weeks. They exhaust the village's food supplies. Soldiers steal seed grain meant for next year's planting. Without it, you cannot sow crops. Starvation looms. You beg the commander to leave some seed. He laughs and rides away. When the army finally departs, they burn fields out of spite or to deny resources to enemies. Your village is left destitute. The granaries are empty. Livestock is gone. Tools are broken or stolen. Winter is approaching and you have no food. Famine sets in. You eat anything you can find. Acorns, bark, grass. People dig up roots and try to make them edible. Children cry from hunger. The elderly die first, too weak to survive on starvation rations. Then the children begin to die. Your youngest, a boy of 3, grows thinner each day. His eyes are too large in his wasted face. He stops, crying, too weak even for that. One morning he does not wake. You bury him in the frozen ground, another small grave among too many. Disease follows famine. Typhus spreads through the weakened population. It starts with fever and headache, then a rash, delirium, and death. You fall ill. For days you lie in a fever, delirious, seeing visions of dead relatives calling to you. Somehow you survive, though many do not. The village population is halved. Spring comes, but you have no seed to plant. You scavenge the battlefield where an engagement occurred months earlier. Among the bones and rusted weapons, you find a few scattered grains. You plant them, praying they will grow. The yield is minimal, barely enough to sustain you through summer. Another army arrives. This one is smaller, a mercenary band with no clear allegiance. They demand tribute. The village has nothing left to give. The mercenaries become violent. They torture the headman to make him reveal hidden supplies. There are none. They kill him anyway as an example. Several villagers are hanged from trees. You watch, powerless, as neighbours die. The mercenaries take people as slaves. Young men and women are bound and marched away. You do not know where. They will be sold or forced into labour or worse. Your family is taken. Your surviving children are roped together with others and driven like cattle. You never see them again. You are left alone in a ruined village. Most houses are empty, their occupants dead or fled. You could leave, but where would you go? The entire region is devastated. Refugees clog the roads, starving and desperate. Bandits prey on travellers. There is no safety anywhere. You survive on scavenged food and by hiding when soldiers appear. You live like an animal, furtive and afraid. The war continues for years. Armies march back and forth across the land. Each passage brings new destruction. The population declines catastrophically. Saxony loses nearly half its people. Some regions fare even worse. The social fabric disintegrates. Law and order collapse. Warlords and mercenary captains rule through force. Peasants are prey, to be exploited and discarded. Your existence is reduced to mere survival, day by day, with no hope for improvement. The war has destroyed not just your village, but the entire structure of society that once provided minimal protection and stability. When peace finally comes in 1648, it is too late for you. Your family is gone, your land is worthless, uncultivated for years. You are old, broken, alone. The world you knew is dead. What replaces it is alien and hostile. You wait for death, the only release from suffering that remains. This is life for peasants during the 30 Years' War. Prolonged, repetitive trauma. Endless cycles of exploitation, violence, famine and disease. No safety, no justice, no hope. Just endurance, until endurance is no longer possible. Irish potato famine. You are a tenant farmer in County Cork, Ireland, in year 1845. Your family has worked this land for generations, though you do not own it. The landlord is English, absentee, living in London. You pay rent to his agent, a hard man who shows no mercy for late payments. Your family lives in a one-room stone cottage with a thatched roof. There is a hearth for cooking and warmth, a few pieces of crude furniture, and little else. Your entire existence depends on potatoes. The potato crop feeds your family. You grow them on a small plot, perhaps an acre or two. The yield is sufficient if the crop is healthy. You eat potatoes for breakfast, lunch and dinner, sometimes with a bit of milk or buttermilk, rarely with meat. The potatoes are your sole source of nutrition. Your children grow up eating almost nothing else. In September, you go to dig the potato crop. The plants looked healthy during the summer, green and vigorous. But when you unearth the tubers, they are rotten, black, slimy, giving off a foul stench. You dig frantically, hoping to find healthy potatoes. There are none. The entire crop is destroyed. This is the blight, a disease caused by a fungus. It spreads rapidly through Ireland's potato fields, destroying crop after crop. Within weeks, the primary food source for millions is gone. At first, you hope it is temporary. Perhaps next year's crop will be fine. You have a small store of potatoes from the previous year. You ration them carefully, making them last as long as possible. Winter comes. Your stores run out. There is nothing to eat. You try to buy food, but prices have skyrocketed. Grain is available, but it is being exported to England, where it fetches higher prices. The British government does little to help. Some relief efforts are made, but they are inadequate. Workhouses are established where the destitute can go for food, but conditions are horrific. Families are separated, the work is brutal, disease spreads in the crowded, unsanitary conditions. You refuse to go to the workhouse at first. It feels like admitting defeat. But hunger is relentless. Your children cry constantly. Their bellies are swollen, their limbs thin. You recognize the signs of starvation. You walk to the nearest town, seeking work, seeking food, seeking anything. The town is full of skeletal figures, people reduced to walking corpses. Beggars line the streets, bodies lie unburied. You find no work. There is none. You return home empty-handed. Your wife weeps. She has been trying to make soup from nettles and grass, but it provides no real nutrition. Your youngest child, a girl of 2, is too weak to cry anymore. She lies listlessly, her eyes glassy. That night she dies. You have no money for a coffin, no energy to dig a proper grave. You wrap her in a cloth and bury her in a shallow hole near the cottage. The landlord's agent comes demanding rent. You have no money. He is unsympathetic. Pay or be evicted. You beg for time. He refuses. A week later, men arrive to evict you. They pull the thatch from the roof and knock down a wall, rendering the cottage uninhabitable. You and your family are forced out. You have nowhere to go. You join the masses of homeless wandering the roads. The countryside is filled with refugees. Entire villages are abandoned. Fever spreads among the starving population. Typhus, relapsing fever, dysentery. You fall ill. For days you lie by the roadside, too weak to move. Your wife tries to care for you, but she is starving too. One of your sons dies. Then another. Your wife, weakened beyond recovery, dies holding your hand. You are alone. Your family is gone. You have failed to protect them. The guilt is crushing. You wander aimlessly, a ghost among ghosts. Some are emigrating, boarding ships to America or Canada. Coffin ships, they are called, because so many die during the voyage. You have no money for passage. You are trapped in this dying land. You eventually reach a workhouse. You are admitted because you are clearly dying. The workhouse is overcrowded. People lie on floors, in hallways. The stench of illness and death is overpowering. Food is provided. Thin gruel, barely enough to keep you alive. You are put to work breaking stones. The labour is pointless, designed only to ensure that workhouse residents earn their keep. Disease ravages the workhouse. Typhus spreads from person to person. You contract it. Fever, headache, rash, delirium. You drift in and out of consciousness. In your lucid moments, you see bodies being carried out. The workhouse cemetery is full. Mass graves are dug. You survive, though you do not know why or how. When you recover enough to leave, you do so. The outside world is no better. The famine continues for years. The blight returns season after season. Millions die. Millions more emigrate. Ireland's population drops by 25% in a few years. You survive by begging, by doing odd jobs for pennies, by eating whatever scraps you can find. You are a broken man. Everything you had, everyone you loved, is gone. The British government is condemned by some for its inadequate response, but condemnation does not bring back the dead or undo the suffering. This is life, or the end of life, for Irish peasants during the Great Famine. Starvation, disease, eviction, death. An entirely preventable catastrophe made worse by political indifference and economic ideology that valued property rights and free markets over human lives. You are a victim of policy as much as of blight. Your suffering is not natural disaster. It is the result of choices made by people far away who see you as expendable. Serfdom in Tsarist Russia. You are a serf in rural Russia in the year 1800. You are property. The landowner owns you and your family. You cannot leave without permission. You cannot marry without permission. You work the Lord's land and your own small plot. The labour obligations are crushing. Several days each week must be spent on the estate, planting, harvesting, repairing buildings, whatever the Lord demands. Your family lives in a small wooden hut with a dirt floor. In winter, temperatures drop far below freezing. The hut is heated by a large brick stove, which also serves for cooking. The entire family sleeps on or around the stove for warmth. Smoke fills the room because the chimney is inadequate. Your eyes sting constantly. Food is basic. Black bread, porridge, cabbage, onions. Meat is rare. Vodka is common, one of the few affordable pleasures. You drink to forget the cold, the hunger, the hopelessness. Alcoholism is widespread. It is both symptom and cause of despair. The Lord lives in a grand house, a manor with dozens of rooms. He speaks French and reads European literature. You speak only Russian and are illiterate. The gulf between your worlds is absolute. He is educated, cultured, wealthy. You are dirt to be used and discarded. He can sell you to another landowner. He can have you flogged for disobedience. There is no legal recourse. You have no rights. The Lord decides one day that he needs labourers for a new project. He selects 20 serfs, including you, to be sent to work in his factory in a distant city. You are torn from your family. Your wife begs for you to be allowed to stay. The Lord Steward ignores her. You are marched away, chained to prevent escape. The factory is a nightmare. You work 16-hour days in dangerous conditions. The machinery is loud and poorly maintained. Accidents are common. A man loses an arm when it is caught in a loom. He is thrown out, unable to work, left to beg. You work with textiles, standing for hours, breathing air thick with lint and dust. Your lungs begin to hurt. You cough constantly. Food at the factory is worse than at the estate. Thin soup, stale bread, occasionally some gruel, is not enough for men doing hard labour. You lose weight. Your clothes hang loose on your frame. Disease spreads easily in the crowded, unsanitary barracks where you sleep. Cholera breaks out. Men die in agony, voiding their bowels until they are empty husks. You survive, barely. After 2 years, you are returned to the estate. Your wife has died in your absence. Pneumonia, you are told. Your children were sent to work in the fields, even the young ones. Your daughter, now 12, looks old. Hard labour and poor nutrition have aged her beyond her years. She does not smile when she sees you. Life continues. You work the land. Harvests are taxed heavily. The grain you grow is sold. You receive a small portion, not enough to feed your family properly. You supplement with potatoes, turnips, whatever grows easily. Winter is always a time of hunger. Spring is worse. The previous year's stores are exhausted. The new crop is not yet ready. This period, called the hungry time, sees families eating bark, roots, anything to fill their bellies. Your son is conscripted into the army. Military service is for 25 years, essentially a lifetime. You will never see him again. He will likely die in some distant war fighting for a Tsar who does not know he exists. The army is brutal. Discipline is maintained through flogging. Soldiers are poorly fed, poorly equipped, treated as expendable. You grow old. Your body is worn out by decades of labour. Your back is bent, your hands are gnarled with arthritis. You can no longer work as hard as required. The Lord Steward threatens to reduce your land allotment because you are not productive enough. You beg to be allowed to continue. Your family depends on that land. One winter, particularly harsh, you fall ill. Fever, cough, weakness, there is no doctor. Folk remedies are tried, they do not help. You lie on the stove, burning with fever, too weak to move. Your daughter tries to care for you, but she has her own children to feed, her own work to do. You die one night, alone, unmourned, except by your immediate family. Your grave is unmarked. The priest says a brief prayer. You are buried in the village cemetery, just another serf who lived and died in obscurity. The land you worked your entire life is reassigned to another family. The Lord does not notice your passing. You are one of thousands of serfs on his estates, nameless, faceless, insignificant. This is life as a serf in Tsarist Russia. Bondage, exploitation, suffering with no hope of escape or improvement. The system endures for centuries, grinding generations of people into dust. Even when serfdom is finally abolished in 1861, the terms are harsh. Former serfs must pay for their freedom through redemption payments that keep them impoverished for decades more. The legacy of serfdom scars Russian society long after the institution formally ends. Chinese peasantry during the Taiping Rebellion. You are a farmer in Guangxi province, southern China, in the year 1850. The Qing dynasty rules, but its authority is weakening. Corruption is rampant, taxes are crushing, banditry is common, life is hard, but it is the life you know. Then a man named Hong Xiuquan begins preaching a strange new religion. He claims to be the younger brother of Jesus Christ, sent to establish a heavenly kingdom on earth. He gathers followers, promising land redistribution and equality. Many peasants, desperate and oppressed, join him. The movement grows. War breaks out. The Taiping rebels fight Qing forces. Your province is a battleground. Armies march through your village, commandeering food and supplies. You try to stay neutral, to survive regardless of who wins. But neutrality is not an option. Taiping soldiers arrive, demanding you join their cause. Refusal means death. You are conscripted, forced to march with the rebel army. You are given a spear and minimal training. Within weeks you are in battle. The chaos is overwhelming. Guns fire, cannon roar, men scream. You do not know who you are fighting or why. You simply follow orders, trying not to die. The Taiping capture the city of Nanjing, making it their capital. You are stationed there for a time. The Taiping leadership establishes strict rules. Men and women are segregated. Marriage is controlled. Traditional Confucian practices are banned. Opium and alcohol are forbidden. The new order is puritanical and harsh. Conditions deteriorate. Food becomes scarce. The Qing besieges Nanjing. Supply lines are cut. Starvation looms. The leadership hoards what food remains, feeding soldiers and elites while common people starve. You are a soldier, so you receive rations, but they are meagre. The Taiping leadership fractures. Internal conflicts erupt. Purges eliminate suspected traitors. Thousands are executed. Paranoia reigns. You keep your head down, saying nothing that might be construed as disloyal. Trust no one. Anyone could be an informer. Years pass. The war drags on. Millions die. The countryside is devastated. Fields go unplanted. Villages are burned. The population declines catastrophically. Some estimates place deaths at 20 to 30 million people. It is one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. You are captured by Qing forces during a failed offensive. Prisoners are treated brutally. Many are executed immediately. You are spared for some reason, perhaps because you appear too weak to be a threat. You are put to work as forced labour, building fortifications for the Qing army. The work is backbreaking. You dig trenches, haul stones, build palisades. Guards beat you for working too slowly. Food is a handful of rice per day. Many prisoners die from exhaustion and malnutrition. Their bodies are thrown into unmarked pits. The Qing finally crushed the Taiping rebellion in 1864. Nanjing is recaptured. The slaughter is immense. Taiping soldiers and civilians are killed wholesale. The city runs red with blood. Estimates suggest 100,000 die in the final assault and its aftermath. You are released after the war ends, turned loose to find your way home. You walk for weeks through a devastated landscape. Your village no longer exists. It was burned years ago. Your family is gone. You do not know if they fled, died, or were taken. There is no way to find out. You settle in a different village, starting over. You are middle-aged, broken, traumatized. You work as a labourer, doing whatever tasks are available. The Qing government is as corrupt and oppressive as before. The rebellion changed nothing except to kill millions and destroy vast regions. This is life for peasants during the Taiping rebellion, caught between two forces, both exploitative and violent. Conscripted, starved, brutalized, traumatized. The war is not about ideology or justice. It is about power, and peasants are the expendable fuel burned to sustain it. Your suffering is meaningless. Your death would be meaningless. You are simply one person among millions ground up by forces beyond your control or understanding. The Enclosure movement in England. You are a peasant in rural England in the year 1700. For generations, your family has worked our land under the open field system. The village farms communal fields. Each family has strips of land scattered across these fields. Everyone shares common pasture where livestock graze. It is not perfect, but it provides a living. Then Parliament passes an Enclosure Act for your parish. The common lands are to be divided and privatised. Large landowners receive most of the land. Smaller holders like you receive little or nothing. You protest that your family has worked this land for generations, that you depend on it for survival. The commissioners are unmoved. The law is clear. Your traditional rights mean nothing. Fences and hedges are erected. Land that was common is now private property. You are forbidden to graze your animals on what is now someone else's land. Without access to pasture, you cannot keep livestock. Milk, meat, wool, all are lost. Your income plummets. You are left with a tiny plot too small to support your family. You try to survive on it, but it is impossible. You fall into debt. The creditor is the same large landowner who benefited from enclosure. He offers to employ you as a labourer on his estate. You have no choice but to accept. Your status changes. You are no longer an independent farmer, however marginal. You are now a wage labourer, dependent on employment. If the landowner dismisses you, you have nothing. The security of traditional common rights is gone, replaced by the precarious existence of hired labour. The work is hard. You labour in the fields from dawn to dusk for low wages. You cannot afford to rent a house, so your family lives in a cramped cottage on the estate. The cottage is damp with a leaking roof. Your children sleep on straw pallets on the dirt floor. Wages are paid irregularly. Sometimes the landowner delays payment for weeks. You have no recourse. Complaining risks dismissal. You and your family go hungry when wages are delayed. You borrow from the village shop, accumulating more debt. Your children cannot attend school, they must work. Your sons labour in the fields alongside you. Your daughters work as domestic servants in the landowner's house. They are paid even less than the men. The work is demeaning and exhausting. They have no days off, no time to rest. One winter is particularly harsh. Wages are cut because there is less work. Food prices rise. You cannot afford fuel for heating. Your youngest child, a boy of 4, falls ill with pneumonia. There is no money for a doctor. You try home remedies, but they are ineffective. The boy dies. You bury him in the churchyard. The vicar charges a fee for the burial. You sink deeper into debt. The landowner decides to consolidate his holdings further. He dismisses workers, replacing them with new agricultural machinery. You are among those dismissed. At 50 years old, you are considered too old for heavy labour. No one will hire you. You and your wife become paupers, dependent on parish relief. The relief is minimal, barely enough to survive. You are required to enter the workhouse. The workhouse is a prison for the poor. Families are separated. Men, women, and children live in different wings. You are put to work breaking stones, an utterly pointless task designed to humiliate and deter. Your wife dies in the workhouse. She was already weak from years of malnutrition and hard labour. The workhouse conditions finish her. You are not allowed to attend her burial. Paupers are buried in mass graves without ceremony. You endure in the workhouse for years. Your children, now adults, have scattered. Some have moved to industrial towns seeking factory work. You have lost contact with them. You are alone, forgotten, waiting for death. This is life for peasants displaced by the Enclosure movement. The loss of traditional rights, the forced transition to wage labour, the descent into poverty and dependence. Enclosure is presented as agricultural improvement, modernisation, efficiency. For those dispossessed, it is theft, the destruction of a way of life, the beginning of poverty from which there is no escape. Your suffering is the cost of progress that benefits others. The Great Leap Forward in China. You are a peasant in a village in Henan Province, China, in the year 1958. The Communist Party has been in power for 9 years. Land reform gave your family a small plot. Life improved briefly, but now a new campaign begins. The Great Leap Forward, Chairman Mao Zedong, declares that China will surpass Britain in steel production within 15 years. Agriculture will be collectivized. Communal farming will replace private plots. Your village is organized into a commune. Your land, tools, animals, everything is collectivized. You no longer own anything. The commune owns it all. You are assigned to work brigades. Your labour is directed by cadres, party officials, who have no farming experience but wield absolute authority. Cadres impose unrealistic production quotas. They claim that new agricultural techniques, based on the ideas of Soviet agronomist Trofim Lysenko, will vastly increase yields. Plants should be sown close together, they say. Seeds should be planted deep. These methods are nonsense, but questioning them is dangerous. You plant as ordered, knowing the crops will fail. The cadres also demand that the commune produce steel. Backyard furnaces are built. You are ordered to contribute scrap metal. You melt down your farming tools, your cooking pots, anything metal. The resulting steel is worthless, brittle and impure, but the cadres report it as success. Production targets are met on paper, even though the reality is disaster. Harvest time comes. The crops fail as you knew they would. Lysenko's methods are pseudoscience. The close planting created weak plants that competed for nutrients. Deep planting meant seeds could not germinate. The yield is a fraction of normal, but cadres report inflated harvest figures to their superiors. They want to appear successful, to earn promotions. They lie, claiming bumper crops. Based on these false reports, the state increases grain requisitions. The commune must deliver vast quantities of grain to the state, far more than was actually harvested. Cadres take everything. They search houses for hidden grain. They dig up fields looking for buried supplies. Your family's small reserve is confiscated. You are left with nothing. Protests are met with accusations of hoarding or sabotage. Some villagers are beaten, arrested, sent to labour camps. Hunger sets in. At first, it is manageable. You eat less, tighten your belt. But the hunger grows. Weeks pass with minimal food. Your body begins consuming itself. You lose weight rapidly. Your face becomes gaunt, eyes sunken. Your limbs are stick-thin. Children suffer most. They cry from hunger, begging for food that does not exist. You watch your children waste away, unable to help them. The youngest dies first, then the next. Their small bodies are too weak to survive starvation. You bury them, but there is no wood for coffins, no energy to dig deep graves. People begin eating anything. Bark is stripped from trees and boiled. Grass, leaves, roots, dirt mixed with a bit of flour to make it edible. These things provide no nutrition. They fill the stomach but do not stop starvation. Diseases from malnutrition spread. Edema causes bellies and limbs to swell with fluid. Beriberi, pellagra, other deficiency diseases ravage the population. Some turn to desperate measures. There are rumours of cannibalism. Bodies of the dead are exhumed and eaten. In some areas, people kill children, the weakest members of society, to survive. The horror is beyond comprehension. This is not isolated. It happens across China, in hundreds of villages, millions suffering the same nightmare. Cadres continue reporting success. They host inspections, creating Potemkin villages with well-fed people and full granaries, all staged. Inspectors are deceived or complicit. The truth does not reach Beijing, or if it does, it is ignored. Mao insists the Great Leap Forward is succeeding. To say otherwise is counter-revolutionary. The famine lasts years. By the time it ends in 1961, estimates suggest 30 to 45 million people have died. It is the deadliest famine in history. Your village is devastated. Half the population is gone. Survivors are walking skeletons, traumatized, broken. You survive, though you do not know how. Guilt haunts you. Why did you live when your children died? There is no answer. You continue because there is nothing else to do. The party never admits fault. The famine is blamed on natural disasters, though the weather was not unusually bad. The real cause was policy, ideology imposed without regard for reality or human cost. This is life for peasants during the Great Leap Forward. Collectivization, failed policies, false reporting, and catastrophic famine. Your suffering is the result of ideological fanaticism, bureaucratic, cowardice, and totalitarian control that prevents truth from emerging until millions are dead. You are a victim of a system that values propaganda over human life. Slavery in the Roman Latifundia. You are a slave on a large agricultural estate, a latifundium in southern Italy during the late Roman Republic, around 100 years before the Common Era. You were not born a slave. You were captured during a war in Greece. Your city resisted Roman conquest. When it fell, the inhabitants were sold into slavery. You, along with thousands of others, were marched to the coast, chained, and shipped to Italy. You were sold at auction in Rome. A wealthy senator purchased you and dozens of others for his estate. You were transported to the Latifundium, a vast property producing grain, olives, and wine for export. The estate is worked entirely by slave labour. Hundreds of slaves toil in the fields under the supervision of overseers who are themselves slaves, but granted authority and better conditions in exchange for enforcing discipline. Your life is one of unending labour. You wake before dawn, a bell rings, and slaves assemble. You are given a piece of bread and watered wine. Then you march to the fields. The work depends on the season. Ploughing, planting, weeding, harvesting. The labour is backbreaking. You work until dusk, with a brief break at midday for more bread and perhaps some onions or olives. The overseers carry whips. They use them freely. If you work too slowly, you are whipped. If you pause to rest, you are whipped. If you talk back, you are whipped. The pain is constant. Your back is crisscrossed with scars. Some slaves, broken by the brutality, become listless and unresponsive. They are worked to death or sold to even worse situations, like the mines, where life expectancy is measured in months. You sleep in a barracks, a long building with no partitions. Slaves sleep on wooden bunks with no mattresses, just rough planks. There are no blankets. In winter, you huddle together for warmth. The building stinks of unwashed bodies, urine, and fear. Food is minimal: bread, porridge made from cheap grain, occasionally some vegetables or legumes. Meat is never provided. You are always hungry. Malnutrition is common. Diseases spread easily in the crowded, unsanitary conditions. Dysentery, fever, infections from untreated wounds. There is no medical care. Slaves who become too sick to work are left to die or recover on their own. You have no rights. You are property. The master can do anything to you. He can sell you, beat you, kill you. There is no legal recourse. Roman law does not protect slaves. You are less than human in the eyes of the law. Sexual exploitation is common. Female slaves are raped by overseers and the master. Male slaves face similar abuse. There is no consent. Resistance means severe punishment or death. Children born to slave women are slaves themselves, adding to the master's property. You dream of escape. But where would you go? Runaway slaves are hunted. If caught, punishment is brutal. Crucifixion is common for runaways. You have seen crucified slaves along the roads, their bodies left to rot as warnings. The risk is too great. Occasionally, a slave rebellion occurs. You hear stories of Spartacus, a gladiator who led a revolt years ago. He and his followers fought the Roman army for 2 years before being crushed. 6,000 captured rebels were crucified along the Appian Way from Rome to Capua. Their bodies hung for months, a mile after mile of horror. You despair. There is no hope for freedom. You will die a slave, probably sooner rather than later. The average life expectancy for agricultural slaves is perhaps 30 years. The work, the malnutrition, the abuse, all take their toll. Your body is breaking down. You are only 25, but you feel ancient. One day, you collapse in the fields. Exhaustion, heat, hunger, it all becomes too much. The overseer kicks you, ordering you to get up. You cannot. You lie in the dirt, unable to move. The overseer leaves you there. If you recover, you will work again. If not, you will die, and another slave will take your place. This is life as a slave on a Roman latifundium: brutality, exploitation, hopelessness. You are a tool, used until broken, then discarded. Roman civilization, celebrated for its achievements in law, architecture, and culture, is built on the suffering of millions like you. Your pain is the foundation of their greatness. You are nameless, forgotten, one of countless victims of an economic system that treats humans as livestock. The Conquest of the Americas. You are a member of the Taino people living on the island of Hispaniola in the year 1492. Your life revolves around fishing, farming cassava, and living in communal villages. Your society is organized into chiefdoms. Life is not perfect. There are conflicts with neighboring groups, but overall, existence is sustainable. Then strange ships appear on the horizon. Men with pale skin and strange clothing disembark. They speak a language you do not understand. They carry weapons unlike anything you have seen. These are Spaniards, led by Christopher Columbus. At first, contact seems curious, even friendly. The newcomers are interested in gold. You show them small ornaments. They become excited. More Spanish arrive. They establish a settlement. They demand food, labor, gold. You try to comply, hoping they will leave. They do not. Instead, they impose a system called encomienda. Taino are divided among Spanish settlers, forced to work for them. You are assigned to a Spaniard who treats you as property. The work is brutal. You are forced to mine for gold. You dig in rivers and hillsides, searching for the precious metal the Spanish crave. The work is endless. You labor from dawn to dusk. Food is scarce. The Spanish provide minimal rations. You grow weak. The Spanish are violent. Resistance is met with savage reprisals. Entire villages are massacred as examples. You witness Spanish soldiers killing men, women, and children. They use attack dogs, setting them on people who flee. The brutality is calculated, designed to instill terror and compliance. Disease arrives with the Spanish. Smallpox, measles, influenza. Your people have no immunity. Epidemics sweep through the population. Entire villages die. You watch family members sicken and die in agony, covered in pustules, burning with fever. The Spanish seem less affected. It is as if the gods favour them. Within a generation, the Taino population collapses. From hundreds of thousands, perhaps 1 million or more, the numbers plummet. By 1550, only a few thousand remain. Your culture is destroyed. Your language is forgotten. Your religion is suppressed. The Spanish impose Christianity. Refusal means punishment or death. You are baptized, given a Spanish name, forced to attend church. The rituals are alien. You do not understand the theology. But you go through the motions because the alternative is violence. You are a shadow, a ghost of who you were. Your identity is erased. The Spanish replace the Taino with African slaves. You are not numerous enough, not resilient enough to their diseases. African slaves are imported by the thousands to work the mines and plantations. You see them arrive, chained, terrified. You recognize your own suffering in their faces. You grow old, one of the last survivors of your people. You remember the world before the Spanish, when your people lived freely. Those memories are painful. The world you knew is gone, replaced by a colonial nightmare of exploitation, disease, and cultural annihilation. You die, unmourned except by the few remaining Taino. There is no monument to your people, no recognition of what was lost. History will remember Columbus as an explorer. Your people are a footnote, mentioned briefly as having been encountered and converted. The horror of conquest, the genocide, the suffering, these are minimized or ignored. This is life and death for indigenous peoples during the European conquest of the Americas. Entire civilizations destroyed, populations reduced by 90% or more, cultures erased. The arrival of Europeans is apocalypse. It is the end of the world. You lived through it, watching everything you knew and loved disappear. Your suffering is one small part of a catastrophe that reshapes the hemisphere, creating new societies built on the ruins and bones of the old. Serfdom in medieval Japan. You are a peasant farmer in Japan during the Sengoku period, the Warring States era, in the year 1500. Japan is fragmented into dozens of competing domains ruled by daimyo, feudal lords constantly at war with each other. Your village is in a region contested by 2 rival daimyo. Armies pass through regularly, bringing destruction. You are bound to the land. You cannot leave without permission from the lord. You owe taxes in the form of rice. The tax rate is high, often half or more of your harvest. You farm a small plot, perhaps 1 or 2 acres. The yield is barely sufficient. After taxes, you are left with just enough to survive. The work is exhausting. Rice cultivation requires flooding fields, transplanting seedlings by hand, constant weeding, and careful water management. You work from dawn to dusk during planting and harvest seasons. Your entire family labours. Children as young as 5 work in the paddies. One year, armies from a rival daimyo invade. They pillage villages, seizing food and supplies. Soldiers burn your house, steal your livestock, and take your daughter. You never see her again. She is probably enslaved, or worse. The surviving family rebuilds, but resources are gone. The next harvest is poor because you had no seed grain. Famine looms. You beg the Lord for relief. He refuses. Taxes must be paid regardless. You are forced to sell your tools to buy rice. Without tools, you cannot farm effectively. The situation spirals. You fall into debt to a moneylender who charges exorbitant interest. The moneylender eventually claims your land. You become a tenant, farming land you once owned. The rent is even higher than the previous taxes. You are trapped in a cycle of debt and poverty. Escape is impossible. The social order is rigid. Peasants are at the bottom, exploited by samurai and lords above. Conscription is another burden. When the daimyo goes to war, He conscripts peasants to serve as foot soldiers. You are given a spear and minimal armor. You are sent into battle with almost no training. The mortality rate is high. Samurai, the professional warrior class, look down on peasant soldiers as expendable. You survive one battle, but barely. You see friends and neighbors cut down. The samurai fight with skill and honor. Peasants like you are cannon fodder, used to absorb enemy attacks while the samurai maneuver. You return to the village traumatized, but there is no time to recover. The fields must be tended. Years pass. The wars continue. Your region changes hands multiple times. Each new lord imposes taxes and demands labor. Nothing improves. The ruling class changes, but your suffering remains constant. You are a resource to be extracted, nothing more. Your son is conscripted and killed in battle. Your wife dies from illness, probably tuberculosis. You are alone, old, broken. You continue farming because there is nothing else. One day, you collapse in the field. Other villagers find you and carry you to your hut. You die that night, unmourned except by a few neighbors too exhausted to properly grieve. This is life for peasants in Sengoku, Japan. Endless war, exploitation, death. The samurai class romanticizes this period as a time of honor and glory. For peasants, it is hell. You are victims of constant violence, your labor stolen, your lives expendable. The beautiful temples and castles built during this era are monuments to your suffering, constructed with taxes extracted from starving farmers. The Holodomor in Soviet Ukraine. You are a peasant farmer in Ukraine in the year 1932. The Soviet Union has been in power for over a decade. Stalin's regime has forced collectivization of agriculture. Your family's land, livestock, and tools have been seized. You are now a member of a collective farm, a kolkhoz. The land belongs to the state. You work for the collective, receiving a share of the harvest, but the system is dysfunctional. Party officials with no farming experience run the kolkhozes. They impose unrealistic production quotas dictated by Moscow. The quotas are based on false reports from previous years. Cadres inflated numbers to appear successful. Now the state expects those inflated yields to be real. Harvest time comes. The yield is good, but not extraordinary. However, the state requisitions are massive. Officials take almost all the grain. You are left with nothing. Protests are dangerous. Complaining is seen as counter-revolutionary. People who speak out are arrested, sent to labor camps, or executed. Winter arrives. You have no grain. The collective stores are empty, taken by the state. You try to hide small amounts of food, but OGPU secret police conduct searches. They dig up floors, probe walls, search barns. Any hidden food is confiscated. Those caught hiding grain are severely punished. Hunger begins. You eat less, rationing what little you have. But the rations run out. You begin eating things not meant for food. You boil leather, trying to extract some nutrition. You eat acorns, grass, tree bark. These provide no real nutrition. Your body begins to consume itself. Starvation progresses through stages. First, constant hunger. Then weakness, fatigue, difficulty concentrating. Your body fat disappears. Your muscles waste away. Your face becomes skeletal. Your eyes sink into your skull. Your skin hangs loose. You develop edema, swelling in your legs and abdomen as your body retains fluid. Children suffer most. They have no reserves. They weaken quickly. Your youngest dies first, then the next. You cannot bury them properly. The ground is frozen. You wrap their small bodies in cloth and leave them in a shed until the ground thaws. But by spring, you are too weak to dig. The bodies remain unburied. People begin dying in large numbers. The village population drops rapidly. Bodies lie in houses, in streets. There is no one with the strength to dispose of them. Dogs and rats feed on corpses. The sight is surreal, nightmarish. This is not war. There are no battles. The deaths are silent, invisible. People simply weaken and die. You hear rumors of cannibalism. Starving people eat the dead. Some kill children to survive. The horror is beyond comprehension. Society collapses. Morality, humanity, all are stripped away by the desperate struggle for survival. The state seals the borders of Ukraine. Peasants are forbidden to leave. Soldiers and police block roads and railways. Anyone trying to flee is arrested and sent back. The famine is deliberately created and deliberately concealed. The Soviet government denies its existence even as millions die. International journalists are either denied access or shown propaganda. Walter Duranty, a Western correspondent, reports that there is no famine. His reports help the Soviet Union maintain its reputation abroad while Ukrainians starve. The truth is suppressed. You survive the winter, barely. Spring comes. You are so weak you can barely stand. Planting must be done, but there are few people left to do it. Those still alive work like zombies, moving slowly, mechanically. Many collapse and die in the fields. The famine lasts into 1933. By the time it ends, estimates suggest 3 to 7 million Ukrainians have died. The exact number will never be known. The Soviet government destroys records, suppresses information, denies the famine occurred. You survive, though you wish you had not. Your family is gone. Your village is a graveyard. The kolkhoz continues to function, demanding labour from the survivors. The state never acknowledges what happened. There is no apology, no compensation. You are expected to forget, to continue working as if nothing occurred. This is life and death for Ukrainian peasants during the Holodomor. Deliberate starvation used as a tool of political control. Your suffering serves to break resistance to collectivization, to punish a population seen as insufficiently loyal. You are victims of genocide, though the term will not be widely used for decades. Your deaths are a crime, but the perpetrators are never held accountable. The Highland clearances in Scotland. You are a crofter in the Scottish Highlands in the year 1800. Your family has lived in this glen for generations. You farm a small plot and graze sheep on communal pasture. The land is poor, rocky and mountainous. Life is hard, but it is home. The laird, the landowner, has decided to clear the glen. He wants to use the land for sheep farming. Large-scale sheep farming is more profitable than supporting numerous small crofters. You and everyone else in the glen are to be evicted. The factor, the laird's agent, arrives with soldiers. He announces that all families must leave within a month. You will be relocated to the coast where you can take up fishing, or you can emigrate to Canada or Australia. The laird will provide passage for those who wish to leave Scotland. You protest. This land has been worked by your family for generations. Where will you go? How will you survive? The factor is unmoved. The decision is made. Resistance will be met with force. You have 1 month. The day of eviction arrives. Soldiers go from house to house, forcing people out. Your possessions are thrown into the yard. Then the soldiers set fire to your cottage. The thatched roof burns quickly. Within minutes, the home where you were born is gone. You stand watching, helpless, as flames consume everything. The glen is emptied. Hundreds of people are made homeless. The elderly, the infirm, children, all are forced out. Some families choose to emigrate. They board ships to Canada. The voyage is brutal, crowded, unsanitary conditions. Disease spreads. Many die at sea or shortly after arrival. You choose to stay in Scotland. You move to a coastal settlement. You know nothing of fishing. You try to learn, but the sea is unforgiving. Your first attempts are failures. You barely catch enough to feed your family. The other fishermen, established and experienced, view you as competition. They are not welcoming. You live in a tiny stone hut on the edge of the settlement. The hut has one room, a dirt floor, no chimney. Smoke from the cooking fire fills the room, stinging your eyes and lungs. Your children cough constantly. You apply for work at the fish processing plant. The pay is terrible. The work is grueling. You gut and salt fish for 12 hours a day. The smell is overpowering. Your hands are constantly wet and cold. They crack and bleed from the salt. Infections develop. There is no medical care. Your wife takes in laundry to earn a bit more money. She washes clothes for wealthier families, standing in cold water, scrubbing for hours. Her health deteriorates. She develops chronic pain in her hands and back. She grows thin and pale. One winter, she contracts pneumonia. She dies within a week. You are left alone with your children. You cannot care for them and work. Your oldest, a boy of 12, is sent to work in a textile mill in Glasgow. Conditions there are horrific. Children work 14-hour days in dangerous machinery-filled factories. Your son loses 2 fingers in an accident. He is dismissed without compensation. Your daughters go into domestic service. They work as maids in wealthy households. The pay is minimal. They are at the mercy of their employers. One is dismissed for being insolent. She becomes destitute and turns to prostitution to survive. You never see her again. You grow old alone. The Highland way of life you knew is gone. The glens are empty, populated now only by sheep. The culture, the language, the traditions, all are disappearing. You are a relic of a world that no longer exists. You die in the coastal hut, alone, unmourned. Your body is found days later. You are buried in an unmarked grave. The clearances have erased your people. Where once there were thriving communities, there is now silence. The land is more profitable, but the human cost is incalculable. This is life for Highland crofters during the clearances. Eviction, dispossession, cultural destruction. The clearances are presented as economic necessity, modernisation, improvement. For those displaced, it is ethnic cleansing. Your suffering enriches landowners who view you as obstacles to profit. You are expendable. Your culture, your history, your existence, all are sacrificed for sheep. The Reconquista and the Moriscos. You are a Muslim peasant farmer in Granada, southern Spain, in the year 1492. The Emirate of Granada, the last Muslim state in Iberia, has fallen to the Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella. Christian rule is established. You are now a subject of Christian Spain. At first, the terms of surrender promise religious tolerance. Muslims can continue practicing their faith, but promises are broken. Pressure to convert to Christianity increases. Forced conversions begin. You and your family are baptized. You are now officially Christian, though in private you continue Muslim practices. You are now called a Morisco, a converted Muslim. The Inquisition watches Morisco carefully, looking for signs of secret Muslim practice. Eating certain foods, washing in particular ways, any behaviour associated with Islam is suspect. Neighbours inform on each other. Paranoia spreads. Your son is arrested. He was seen praying in a manner that suggested Islamic practice. He is tried by the Inquisition. Torture is used to extract a confession. He admits to being a secret Muslim. He is burned at the stake as a heretic. You are forced to watch. Showing grief or sympathy would mark you as suspect. Life becomes unbearable. You are Christian in name only. The church demands you attend Mass, take confession, observe Christian holy days. You go through the motions, but the Inquisition is never satisfied. Moriscos are second-class citizens, constantly under suspicion. Economically, you are exploited. You farm land owned by Christian lords. Taxes are high. You are forbidden from certain trades and professions. Education is denied to Morisco children. You are kept poor and powerless. Rebellions occur. In 1568, Moriscos in the Alpujarras Mountains revolt. The rebellion is brutally suppressed, thousands are killed, survivors are forcibly relocated to other parts of Spain, scattered to prevent future uprisings. Your family is among those relocated. You are marched to Castile, hundreds of kilometres away. The journey is harsh. The elderly and sick die along the way. You arrive in a village where you are resented. The locals view Moriscos as foreign, untrustworthy, potential traitors. You are assigned land, but it is poor quality. The locals keep the best land for themselves. You struggle to grow enough to survive. Hostility surrounds you. Children throw stones at Morisco children. Adults refuse to interact with you. You are isolated, marginalised. In 1609, King Philip III orders the expulsion of all Moriscos from Spain. You and approximately 300,000 others are forcibly expelled. You are given days to prepare. You can take only what you can carry. Property is confiscated. You board a ship to North Africa. The voyage is nightmarish. The ships are overcrowded. Food and water are scarce. Disease spreads. Many die. When you arrive in Morocco, you are not welcomed. The local population views you as Spanish, foreign. You are neither Muslim enough for Morocco nor Christian enough for Spain. You belong nowhere. You live in a refugee camp on the outskirts of a city. Conditions are squalid. Shelter is makeshift. Food is begged or scavenged. You are old, exhausted, broken. You have lost everything. Your homeland, your property, your identity. You are a refugee, stateless, unwanted. You die in the camp, just another forgotten victim of religious intolerance and ethnic cleansing. Your life was defined by persecution, forced conversion, exile. The society that expelled you prospers. Spain's golden age flourishes in art and literature, but that prosperity is built on the exclusion and suffering of people like you. This is life for Moriscos in Spain during and after the Reconquista. Religious persecution, forced conversion, constant suspicion, economic exploitation, rebellion, repression, and finally expulsion. Your culture is suppressed, your identity is criminalized, you are made to disappear. The expulsion of the Moriscos is celebrated by some as purifying Spain. For you, it is the end of centuries of Muslim presence in Iberia, erased through violence and forced migration. The peasants of feudal Korea. You are a peasant farmer in Korea during the Joseon dynasty in the year 1600. Korean society is rigidly hierarchical. The Yangban, the aristocratic class, own the land and control political power. Below them are various classes, and at the bottom are peasants like you. You are bound to the land, obligated to pay taxes and provide labour. You farm a small plot of rice paddies. The work is backbreaking. Rice cultivation requires flooding, transplanting seedlings, weeding, and careful water management. Every member of your family works. Even small children help in the fields. Taxes are numerous. You pay land tax, military tax, and various corvée labour obligations. The tax burden is heavy. Tax collectors are often corrupt, demanding more than officially required. You have no recourse. Complaining risks punishment. Corvée labour takes you away from your farm for weeks or months. You are required to build roads, maintain irrigation systems, construct government buildings. The work is unpaid. You must provide your own food during this time, but you have little to spare. You go hungry while labouring for the state. A drought strikes. The rice crop fails. You have no reserves. You beg the local magistrate for tax relief. He refuses. Taxes must be paid regardless of harvest. You are forced to borrow grain from a moneylender at usurious rates. The debt grows. You cannot repay it. The moneylender eventually claims your land. You become a tenant, farming land you once owned. Rent is higher than the previous taxes. You are trapped. Every year you fall deeper into debt. You cannot escape. Debt slavery is illegal in theory, but in practice it exists. You and your family are bound by debt, unable to leave or improve your situation. Your son is conscripted into the military during a Japanese invasion in 1592. The Imjin War devastates Korea. Japanese forces invade, burning cities and slaughtering civilians. Korean and Chinese armies fight back, but the countryside is ravaged. Your son dies in battle. You receive no compensation. Your village is burned by Japanese soldiers. You flee into the mountains, joining thousands of other refugees. You live in caves, eating roots and insects. Disease spreads. Many die. You survive barely. When the war ends, you return to find your village destroyed. You rebuild a small hut and try to farm again. But the land is exhausted, damaged by years of war. Yields are poor. You cannot pay rent. The landlord evicts you. You become a wanderer, a vagrant. You move from place to place, seeking work. No one wants to hire an old, broken peasant. You beg for food. Sometimes you are given scraps. Often you are chased away. You die on the roadside, alone. Your body is left where it falls. Eventually, someone buries you in a shallow, unmarked grave. Your life was one of unrelenting labour, exploitation, war, displacement, and poverty. You were born a peasant and died a pauper. Nothing changed except the degree of your suffering, which only deepened with time. This is life for peasants in Joseon, Korea. Rigid social hierarchy, heavy taxation, exploitation, war, and no hope of advancement. The Yangban class lives in comfort, pursuing scholarly and artistic endeavours. You labour in the mud, producing the rice that feeds them, receiving nothing in return but survival, and often not even that. The Dust Bowl in America. You are a tenant farmer in Oklahoma in the year 1930. The Great Depression has destroyed the economy. Crop prices have collapsed. You cannot sell your wheat for enough to cover costs, but you have no choice. You must keep farming. It is all you know. Years of intensive farming without proper soil conservation have depleted the land. The native prairie grasses that held the soil in place were ploughed under decades ago. When drought strikes in 1931, the topsoil begins to blow away. At first, the dust storms are manageable. A bit of wind, some dirt in the air, but they worsen. By 1934, massive dust storms, black blizzards, sweep across the plains. The sky turns dark at midday. Dust fills the air so thickly you cannot see a few feet ahead. You tie a cloth over your nose and mouth, but dust gets through. You cough constantly, your lungs burning. The dust penetrates everything. It seeps through cracks in walls, around windows, under doors. Inside your house, a fine layer of dust covers every surface. You shovel dust out of the house daily, but it returns. Food is gritty, water is muddy, breathing is difficult, your crops fail. The wheat, already struggling from drought, is buried under drifting dust. You dig it out, but more dust comes. Eventually, you give up. The fields are barren, lifeless. The topsoil, built up over thousands of years, is gone, blown away. Livestock die. Cattle choke on dust. They cannot graze because there is no grass, only dust. You try to keep them alive, but it is futile. You watch them weaken and die, unable to help. The carcasses lie in the fields, half buried in dust. Debt mounts. You owe the bank for land, equipment, seed. You cannot pay. The bank forecloses. You are evicted. Your family's home, such as it is taken. You load what possessions you can into a battered truck and join thousands of other refugees heading west. You drive to California, lured by rumours of work. The journey is grueling. The truck breaks down repeatedly. You fix it with scavenged parts. You sleep by the roadside. Food is scarce. You eat whatever you can afford, usually bread and beans. You arrive in California to find the situation is not better. Hundreds of thousands of Dust Bowl refugees, Okies as they are derisively called, have flooded the state. There are far more workers than jobs. Landowners exploit this. They offer wages far below subsistence. You accept because the alternative is starvation. You work as a migrant labourer picking fruit and vegetables. The work is seasonal. During harvest, you work 14-hour days in the sun. When harvest ends, there is no work. You move to the next crop, the next field. You live in labour camps, squalid collections of tents and shacks. There is no running water, no sanitation. Disease spreads easily. Your children cannot attend school. They move too frequently. They work alongside you in the fields because every bit of income is needed. Childhood is sacrificed to survival. You are harassed by locals who resent the Oki influx. You are called lazy, dirty, inferior. Police run you out of towns. Vigilantes burn labour camps. You are blamed for problems you did not create. You are victims seeking survival, but you are treated as invaders. Years pass. World War II brings economic recovery. Factories hire workers. You find a job in a shipyard. The pay is better. Life stabilises. But the trauma of the Dust Bowl remains. You never fully recover. The years of poverty, hunger, displacement scar you. You dream of dust storms. You wake in the night choking, though there is no dust. This is life for Dust Bowl refugees. Environmental catastrophe compounded by economic depression. You are victims of poor farming practices, drought, and an economic system that offers no safety net. Your suffering is immense, prolonged, and largely ignored by those in power. You endure because you have no choice. The promised land of California offers not salvation, but more struggle, more exploitation, a different flavour of the same bitterness you fled. The clearances in Ireland. You are a tenant farmer in County Galway, Ireland. In the year 1849, the potato famine has been raging for 3 years. Your family survived the worst of it, though many neighbours died. The British government's relief efforts were inadequate. Workhouses and soup kitchens saved some. But millions died or emigrated. Now a new threat emerges. Landlords, many absentee and English, are clearing estates. Tenants who cannot pay rent are evicted. The land is converted to pasture for cattle, which is more profitable. You are among those targeted. The landlord's agent arrives with police. You owe back rent from the famine years when you had no income. You cannot pay. The agent gives you a choice: emigrate to Canada at the landlord's expense or be evicted. You have days to decide. Emigration seems the better option. At least there is a chance. You accept. You and your family are transported to the port. Hundreds of other evicted tenants are there. You board a ship bound for Canada. The ship is called a coffin ship for good reason. The voyage is a nightmare. The ship is overcrowded. Families are crammed into dark, airless holds. There is no privacy, no sanitation. A bucket serves as toilet for dozens of people. The stench is unbearable. Seasickness is universal. People vomit constantly. Disease spreads rapidly. Typhus, dysentery, cholera. The cramped, unsanitary conditions are perfect for epidemics. People sicken and die daily. Bodies are wrapped in canvas and thrown overboard. Your youngest child dies. You hold a brief service, then watch the small body disappear into the sea. The voyage takes 6 weeks. By the time you arrive in Canada, a third of the passengers are dead. The survivors are weak, sick, many dying. You are quarantined on Gros Isle, an island in the St. Lawrence River. The quarantine facilities are overwhelmed. Thousands of sick Irish immigrants are crammed into sheds and tents. Your wife dies of typhus on Gros Isle. You are too sick to properly mourn. You lie in a fever, delirious, unsure if you will survive. Eventually, your fever breaks. You are released from quarantine. You have nothing. No money, no possessions, no family except one surviving child. You walk to Montreal seeking work. The city is hostile. Irish immigrants are everywhere, desperate and poor. Work is scarce. Wages are depressed by the oversupply of labour. You find a job as a labourer digging canals. The work is brutal. You swing a pickaxe for 12 hours a day. The pay is minimal. You live in a shack with a dozen other labourers. Food is bread and potatoes. The latter, a cruel irony after fleeing famine caused by potato failure. Winters in Canada are harsh, far colder than Ireland. You have inadequate clothing. Frostbite damages your fingers and toes. You work through the pain because stopping means losing your job and starving. Your surviving child grows up in poverty. He receives no education. He works as soon as he is able. The cycle of poverty continues. You hoped emigration would offer a better life. It offers only survival, barely. You grow old, worn out by labour. You die in a charity hospital, alone except for strangers. You are buried in a mass grave for the indigent. No marker, no name. You are forgotten. This is life for Irish emigrants during the clearances. Eviction, coffin ships, disease, death. Poverty in a new land that offers little welcome. You fled one nightmare, only to enter another. Your suffering is continuous. The promise of a new world is hollow. You exchanged Irish poverty for Canadian poverty, Irish exploitation for Canadian exploitation. Geography changed. Your status as a victim did not. The Bengal Famine. You are a peasant farmer in Bengal, India, in the year 1943. World War II is raging. The Japanese have occupied Burma, cutting off rice imports that Bengal depends on. The British colonial government is focused on the war effort, not civilian welfare. Harvest in 1942 was poor. Cyclones and flooding damaged crops. But the harvest was not catastrophic. There is food, but it is being hoarded, speculated upon, and diverted to support the military. Prices skyrocket. Rice that you could afford before is now 10 times more expensive. You cannot buy food. Your small savings are exhausted. You sell your possessions. First the extras, then necessities. Tools, furniture, clothes. You sell everything, but it is not enough. Starvation approaches. You walk to the nearest town seeking work or food. The town is overwhelmed with starving people. Thousands of skeletal figures crowd the streets. Bodies lie on sidewalks. No one has the resources to bury them. The stench is overwhelming. The sight is apocalyptic. You beg. You hold out your hand to passers-by. Most ignore you. Occasionally, someone gives a coin or a handful of rice. It is not enough. You grow weaker. Your body consumes itself. Your muscles waste away. Your face becomes skeletal. Your children die first. Malnutrition makes them vulnerable to disease. They contract dysentery. Dehydration from diarrhea kills them within days. You cannot save them. There is no medicine, no clean water, no food. You watch them die, helpless. Your wife, already weakened by hunger, gives up. She stops eating, giving what little food there is to you. She says you must survive. She dies quietly one night. You wake to find her cold beside you. You have no energy to grieve. Survival consumes all your focus. You hear of relief kitchens run by charities. You walk miles to reach one. When you arrive, the line is thousands long. You wait all day. By the time you reach the front, the food is gone. You walk back, having wasted your remaining strength for nothing. You collapse on the roadside. You lie there, too weak to move. People step over you. No one helps. Everyone is struggling. Compassion is a luxury no one can afford. You drift in and out of consciousness. A relief worker finds you. You are taken to a hospital. You are given food, but it is too late. Your body cannot process it. Refeeding syndrome, your digestive system, shut down for too long, fails. You die in the hospital, another statistic in a famine that will kill 3 million people. The Bengal Famine was preventable. There was food in India. It was not distributed. The British government prioritised military needs over civilian survival. When Churchill was informed of the famine, he reportedly asked why Gandhi hadn't died yet. The contempt for Indian lives was explicit. This is life and death for Bengali peasants during the famine. Starvation while food exists but is withheld or inaccessible. Your death is not natural disaster. It is policy failure, colonial indifference, racism. You are expendable in the eyes of those who rule. Your suffering is a footnote in the history of a war fought for freedom and democracy. The irony is bitter. You died without freedom, without democracy, without even the basic right to food. The killing fields of Cambodia. You are a rice farmer in Cambodia in the year 1975. The Khmer Rouge, a communist guerrilla group, has just seized power after years of civil war. Their leader, Pol Pot, promises to return Cambodia to an agrarian utopia, a return to year zero. You are hopeful. The war is over. Perhaps life will improve. Then the Khmer Rouge evacuates the cities. Millions of urban dwellers are forced into the countryside. They arrive in your village, city people who know nothing of farming. They are weak, confused, terrified. The Khmer Rouge cadres are young, often teenagers, armed and fanatical. The new regime abolishes money, private property, religion. Families are separated. Children are taken to collective work groups. You are separated from your children. You do not know where they are. Asking is dangerous. The Khmer Rouge punish questioning. You are forced to work in collective farms. The labour is exhausting. You work from before dawn until after dark. The quotas are impossible. You must plant and harvest amounts of rice far beyond what the land can produce. Cadres insist that revolutionary zeal will increase yields. It does not. Food is scarce. You are fed watery rice porridge, barely enough to keep you alive. You are always hungry. People begin dying from starvation and overwork. Bodies are common sights. They are buried quickly in shallow graves or left to rot. The Khmer Rouge purge anyone considered intellectual or associated with the old regime. Wearing glasses is enough to be suspect. Speaking a foreign language means death. Teachers, doctors, anyone educated is executed. The killing is methodical. People are taken away at night. They do not return. You witness an execution. A man accused of hoarding food is beaten to death with farming tools. The Khmer Rouge do not waste bullets. They use hoes, axes, clubs. The execution is public, meant to terrify. You watch, horrified, knowing that any day it could be you. Your son, taken months ago, is indoctrinated by the Khmer Rouge. He is taught that loyalty to the revolution supersedes family. Children are encouraged to inform on parents. Your son reports that you spoke longingly of the past. You are arrested. You are taken to a security center. The interrogation is brutal. You are tortured to extract a confession. You confess to crimes you did not commit. It does not matter. The outcome is predetermined. You are executed, your body thrown into a mass grave. The Khmer Rouge regime lasts 4 years. In that time, approximately 1/4 of Cambodia's population dies. Over 1.5 million people are executed, starved, or worked to death. It is genocide against the Cambodian people by their own government. This is life, or the end of it, for Cambodians under the Khmer Rouge. Ideological madness resulting in mass death. The regime's vision of agrarian purity requires the destruction of everything modern, including the people who might question it. You are killed not for what you did, but for what you represent, a remnant of the old world that must be erased. Your death is senseless, one of millions in a tragedy born of ideology untethered from reality or humanity. The Great Famine in North Korea. You are a farmer in North Korea in the year 1995. The Soviet Union has collapsed. Aid from communist allies has dried up. North Korea's economy, never robust, is failing. Food production is declining. The government maintains strict control. You farm a collective. All production goes to the state. You receive rations in return. But the rations are shrinking. The government prioritizes the military and elite. Farmers are low priority. Floods strike in 1995, destroying crops. The following year, drought hits. The compounding disasters devastate agriculture. The government's response is inadequate. International aid is requested, but much of it is diverted to the military. Rations stop. You receive nothing. The state has no food to distribute. You are on your own. You try to forage. You dig for roots, strip bark from trees, catch insects. You eat grass, making soup from it. It provides no nutrition, but it fills your stomach temporarily. Your children are starving. Their bellies are swollen from malnutrition. Their limbs are thin. They cry constantly from hunger. You cannot help them. There is no food. Your youngest dies. Then the next. You bury them in the yard, shallow graves, because you are too weak to dig deep. The grief is crushing, but you cannot afford to dwell on it. You must focus on keeping the remaining children alive. You hear rumors of cannibalism. People are so desperate they eat the dead. You do not want to believe it, but the rumors persist. The moral fabric of society is disintegrating under the pressure of starvation. You try to flee to China. North Korea's border is guarded, but you attempt to cross. You are caught by border guards. You are sent to a labor camp as punishment. The camp is hell. You work in mines, digging coal with primitive tools. The work is backbreaking, food is minimal, many prisoners die. You survive the camp, though you do not know how. When released, you return to find your family gone. Your wife and remaining children died while you were imprisoned. You are alone. The famine lasts years. Estimates suggest hundreds of thousands to over 1 million die. The exact number is unknown. The North Korean government suppresses information. The famine is not acknowledged domestically. Internationally, the regime requests aid, but provides little information about conditions. You survive, a ghost wandering a country of ghosts. The famine ends eventually, but the trauma remains. North Korea does not change. The regime continues. You live in fear, poverty, and isolation. The outside world is forbidden. Escape is nearly impossible. You are trapped in a nation that has failed you utterly. This is life for North Korean peasants during the Great Famine. Starvation in a modern era, in a nation with nuclear weapons and a large military, yet unable or unwilling to feed its people. Your suffering is the result of mismanagement, totalitarian control, and a regime that prioritizes its survival over yours. You are expendable. Your death would be unrecorded, unacknowledged, just another nameless victim of a system that values ideology over life. Drought and famine in the African Sahel. You are a subsistence farmer in the Sahel region of Africa, in Mali, in the year 1984. You grow millet and sorghum. You raise a few goats. Life is precarious. Rainfall is unpredictable. Some years are good, some are lean, but you survive. Then drought strikes. The rains fail for multiple years. The crops wither, the grass dies, the land turns to dust. Your goats, unable to find forage, weaken and die. Your food stores are exhausted, starvation looms. You walk to the nearest town seeking aid. The town is overwhelmed with refugees from the countryside. Thousands of people crowd into camps. International aid organizations are present, distributing food. But the aid is insufficient. Too many people, not enough food. You receive a ration, a small amount of grain. It is not enough to feed your family. Your children are malnourished. Their hair turns reddish, a sign of severe malnutrition, called kwashiorkor. Their bellies swell. They are listless, too weak to play. Disease spreads through the camp. Cholera, measles, respiratory infections. The crowded, unsanitary conditions are ideal for epidemics. Your youngest child contracts measles. The illness is severe. Without adequate nutrition, her immune system cannot fight it. She dies. You bury her in a mass grave outside the camp. You remain in the camp for months. The drought continues. Aid arrives sporadically. Sometimes there is food, sometimes there is not. You live in constant uncertainty. You cannot plan beyond the next meal. International attention brings more aid. Celebrities hold concerts. Donations pour in. Food arrives, lives are saved. But the underlying problems remain. Desertification, driven by climate change and overgrazing, continues. The Sahel is becoming less habitable. Eventually, the drought breaks. Rains return. You walk back to your village. The land is damaged. Rebuilding will take years. You plant crops, hoping for a harvest. The yield is poor, but it is something. Life continues, but it is harder. Each drought, each lean year, weakens you further. You age rapidly, worn down by hardship. Your body is thin, your face lined. You are 40, but look 60. Your surviving children have little education. They cannot read or write. Opportunities are non-existent. They will likely live the same life you have, struggling to survive on marginal land, vulnerable to every environmental shock. You endure because there is no alternative. Migration to cities is not viable. You have no skills, no connections. The cities are overcrowded with people like you, displaced and desperate. The countryside offers at least the possibility of growing food, however unreliable. This is life for Sahelian peasants during recurring droughts, environmental degradation, climate change, poverty, and international aid dependency. You are victims of forces beyond your control. The global north contributes most to climate change, but you suffer the consequences. Your resilience is remarkable, but it should not be necessary. You deserve better. You deserve a world where survival is not a constant struggle. The Syrian civil war and rural destruction. You are a farmer in rural Syria in the year 2011. You grow wheat and olives. Life is modest but stable. Then protests erupt against the government. The regime responds with violence. The country descends into civil war. Your region becomes a battleground. Government forces, rebels, jihadists all fight for control. Armies pass through your village demanding food and supplies. You provide what you can to whoever has the guns. Refusal means death. Airstrikes begin. Government planes bomb areas held by rebels. Your village is hit. Bombs fall without warning. Buildings explode. People die. Your neighbour's house is destroyed. His family is killed. You help pull bodies from the rubble. You try to continue farming, but it is impossible. Fields are mined. Fighting makes it too dangerous to go out. You huddle in your home, hoping to survive. Food runs out. Water is scarce. Electricity is gone. Rebel groups occupy your village. They are young men, some locals, others foreign. They demand loyalty. You must support their cause. Your son is conscripted. He is given a gun and sent to fight. You never see him again. You hear he died in battle. The government retakes the area. The assault is brutal. Artillery shells rain down. Chemical weapons are used. You smell something strange. Then people begin choking, vomiting, dying. You flee, running with whatever you can carry. You join millions of other refugees. You walk toward the Turkish border. The journey is grueling. You are old, exhausted. Younger refugees pass you. Some stop to help. Others ignore you. The border is chaos. Thousands press against fences, trying to enter Turkey. You eventually cross. You are herded into a refugee camp. The camp is a city of tents, muddy streets, inadequate facilities. There is food, but it is basic. Rice, bread, lentils. There is shelter, but the tent leaks. Winter is cold. You have inadequate blankets. Years pass. You remain in the camp. There is no work, no future. You are in limbo, unable to return home, unable to move forward. Your village is destroyed. Rebuilding is impossible while the war continues. You hear that some refugees are trying to reach Europe. They pay smugglers to take them across the Mediterranean. Many drown. You are too old for such a journey. You stay in the camp, waiting. You die in the camp, years later. The war is still ongoing. Your life ended in exile, far from home. You are buried in the camp cemetery, a simple grave among thousands. You are a statistic, one of millions displaced by the Syrian war. This is life for Syrian peasants during the civil war. Violence, displacement, loss, exile. You are caught in a conflict not of your making. Your village, your home, your life, all are destroyed. You become a refugee, dependent on international charity, living in a camp with no future. Your suffering is immense, prolonged, and ongoing. The world watches, but solutions are elusive. You wait, hope fading, for an end that may never come.